Welcome back to the Motor Index, folks. Well, Chase Briscoe dominates at Darlington, winning his second consecutive Southern 500. Man, he looked like Eric Estep said on his channel. It sure looked like that was Martin Truex in that 19 car, wheeling around that place, absolutely demolishing the field on Sunday night. We'll get into everything that happened. While this was a domination race, it was actually a fairly entertaining race, all things considered, and especially the way it ended with a four car battle for the win there in those final closing laps. And say what you want about the dirty air and whatever. I mean, we know that the best car won by a mile, and the best car was unable to be passed. So I'm not really too mad about it personally, about the dirty air that is. And I think the race was pretty good, all things considered. Um, you know, the tires did matter. Good cars were able to pass inferior cars, and as this race went on, we got that day to night aspect where cars were good in the beginning and then completely fell off in the middle, and then those cars that were not necessarily so good in the beginning, a group of them became the good cars. So it was a very entertaining race from that point of view. I think as somebody was talking about, might have been Eric Esep as well, or it might have been the Iceberg or somebody was saying how this is almost more of a marathon than, something like the Coke 600, which to an extent I agree. I mean, obviously on length that's not true, but in terms of, I understand what he's saying because it really drags on and it's such a hard race to win. And, um, you know, it's such an endurance race in a sense, which I completely agree with. And we've seen this 19 car itself, not necessarily Chase Briscoe, but this 19 car dominate both those races. So says a lot about that 19 team and what they've been doing over the years. But yeah, so like I said, this race was obviously domination, but still relatively entertaining. Immediately off the jump on lap one, you get that wreck right at the front of the field with Barry sliding into Tyler Reddick, which miraculously enough for Reddick doesn't really take him out of the race, and he had a shot to win this race at the end of it. So, great save there from Reddick there on that first lap. But if you're Josh Berry, I don't know what you're doing there. You're probably just sending it way too hard for that point in the race. And I get it. It's hard after the green flag run kind of settles in and things get a little strung out. It's hard to pass at Darlington. So going for it on those restarts is kind of what you've got to do. Completely get that. But it's also lap one. It's also lap one. So probably not smart to take yourself out of the race there, but is what it is. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been way, way worse. You could have seen multiple playoff cars taken up in that, like, and more, I mean, than were, because there was technically multiple, but yeah, that could have been a real big disaster for a lot of teams. But luckily, everybody's able to get through that. And then we go on to have Chase Briscoe sweep the stages. And when he swept the stages, I mean, it's not shocking. It's not shocking that he's running well at Darlington. We saw how good he was last year. We've seen how good he was in the Xfinity series here. So it's not really that shocking, but it was more so shocking to see him sweep the stages and then go on and pretty much, not easily, but he was not really challenged for the win there until the very end. Um, and typically when you see these people win first and second stage, just look at William Byron multiple times this year. You go and win the first two stages. For whatever reason, it's just so hard to go win that final stage and win the race. It's weird. But yeah, so Penske and HMS, nowhere to be found whatsoever. I think it was something crazy like it was either no cars in the top 10 or no cars in the top 15 for Hendrick. Like, what? That's nuts. In the playoffs? Yikes. I mean, I expect them to be fine, but we'll see. Penske, I think we've got a big opportunity this coming week for Penske, but I would have expected at least one of their cars to run relatively good. And yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. So, weird stuff. But like I said, this race went from day to night, like it always does. And you saw, like we always do, that some of the cars running up front at the beginning fall off, and then cars from the back move up to the front. I'm trying to think of who those cars were off the top of my head. I think of a guy like Christopher Bell was a big one that I thought was had a really good car and was making a lot of passes, charging his way to the front in the beginning stages of this race, and then is completely non-existent the rest of the race. Denny Hamlin, while he does end up finishing in the top 10, he ends up coming home 7th, front of the race for a lot of it, and then for the second half of that race, nowhere to be found for until basically the end. So I'm trying to think of who else. Bubba Wallace was a guy who I'm not sure exactly how far he fell back, but he was a car running at the front of the field who I thought maybe not race-winning speed, but top 5 speed probably, at least at the beginning. Comes home 6th, so it's not a terrible run for Wallace, but I thought there was speed to potentially challenge Reddick and Briscoe. But I guess not. And I'm thinking who else was at the front of that field. I mean, Larson, if I'm remembering correctly, Larson at points might have been up there, but definitely not showing anything race-winning speed-wise. But yeah, this was a fun race in that aspect of the day of the night, because then you get Eric Jones, who notorious for being good at this race. John Hunter Nemechek, teammate, follows suit, heads to the front of this field. AJ Allmendinger, guy who kind of came out of nowhere this race, and was, you don't want to say race-winning speed, but I thought if something happened to Briscoe there, and there was potential for Allmendinger to win that race. I thought he had race-winning speed, honestly, in the second half of that race. So, impressive stuff from all those guys. And the thing was, and everybody will say, oh, well, Chase Briscoe, they'll say dirty air this, dirty air that. Well, Chase Briscoe was not exactly driving that car very well. Let me rephrase that. That car was not driving well for Chase Briscoe in those final laps, and he was really having to muscle it, and there were several times that he got loose and had to collect the car, and was still able to hold off Reddick and Jones there in those closing laps. And, everybody will say, well, it's the dirty air. Well, it's dirty air. And I think fair. I mean, that's certainly a part of it. But I think Chase Briscoe wheeled that damn thing. I think Chase Briscoe is a very deserving winner, and, I mean, proves it again that he's one of the best here at Darlington. So, very, very impressive stuff. Anything else before we get on out of here? I got to record my preview for Gateway, which you'll see on this channel coming up shortly. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I took from this race is Toyota killed everybody. HMS and Penske look terrible at the moment. I'm confident those last two things will probably sort itself out, but if you're a Toyota fan, you're in a great spot heading into the next couple races in the playoffs. So with that being said, I think that's all we've got for you today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my coverage heading into Gateway next week. Thank you guys, and God bless.